if our purpose is to find a book, and we're online, most people would think, well, you go to Borders, you go to Amazon or something like that. But what if I want to do some research online, but my preference is to actually check the book out at my local library? Well, here's the experience that we would see today. What we would do is we'd go to Amazon, and we'd do a search for People's History of the United States, and we'd click through and we'd find that book. And once we'd found it, then we would go to our local library. In this case, I'm going to go to the Minuteman Library Network. And I would just type in People's History of the United States. You can see I'm a very fast typer. And I would click. And so you know, I'm kind of making this go fast, but in fact, I'd have to have a site bookmarked. I'd have to go there. I'd have to type it in. And it turns out that when I do that, the book I'm looking for is not actually one of the first books. It's like number 4 in this list. The pictures help me identify which book I'm looking for, but it's still, I've still got to do this kind of manual searching. Now let's do something else. What we're going to do is we're going to turn on a card, this library lookup card here. And now when I come over to Amazon and repeat that same search and click through, Amazon's a pretty heavy site. You'll see that what we get is we get reminded right here on Amazon that this book is available in our local library, and when we click through, we see the data about that book and where it's available right there. So the purpose of finding a book has been pulled together. So I won't show you the video. I always have a video backup in case things I've been burnt before. Now, focusing on purpose requires a client perspective. Like I said, portals have been an attempt to do this, but portals don't really quite cut it. And I think the reason is because they're still trying to solve the problem of the server. We've got this fixation on servers. Here's the reason why you need the client. You've got all of these silos. The browser is the only place that sees every place you go online. No portal sees where you go online. They see only the stuff you do there. So if we have a framework which can bridge these silos, what we can do is pull them together in ways that create meaning for users online. Like Guy Kawasaki has a great line. Never start a business to make money, always start a business to create meaning. And that's what you can do with a purpose-centric web. You can start to create meaning for people. And I believe that intelligent, adaptable browsers are the key to that. Now, lest you think that Kynetx is alone in this, there are actually other people who are doing this same kind of thing. GIST is an interesting tool. It's an extension that is not only an extension for your browser, but also an extension for your mail client. And when you get a piece of mail, it'll show you the web content related to the person who sent you the email. Kind of an interesting purpose-based app. Adaptive Blue is a extension, right, a toolbar, that when you go to IMDb or Amazon or someplace else, shows you other people in your friends list who like that movie and what they thought of it. Now, to Doc's point, right, it's still their social silo, right? It's not my friends in Facebook or my friends in Twitter or anything else. It's my friends in Adaptive Blue, right? And if I want my friends in Facebook, then I've got to go to some other silo. Switchbook is a extension from a guy named Joe Andrew. It's not quite out yet, but the idea is to help you manage a search, right? And his shtick is that you're not really doing a search when you're at Google, you're doing a query. Your search is this much larger thing that you're trying to accomplish. And so Switchbook is an attempt to like bridge all of those queries from multiple search engines into a single place. And you know, Google SideWiki is another example of a client-based application that's trying to allow people to do something on the client across multiple websites. And finally, you know, we're all here today to talk about Kynetx, which we talk about as a context automation framework, a framework for actually building these things. Now, I'm building a little table as we go through this talk. When location is our metaphor, our intention is go and get. I go to a website, I get something. But when purpose is our metaphor, our intention is do and know. So we're thinking about the intention of the user differently when we're thinking about a purpose-based way. Now I'm going to go into a little bit of identity, because identity is important. We have Kim Cameron coming tomorrow to talk about identity because we believe it's critical to making this purpose-based web work. So I'm going to give you a brief and mostly wrong history of identity on the web. In 1993, there wasn't any. In 1995, we got cookies, and then we quit. Understand everything you need to know about web identity.
Except that the cookie was beautifully cryptographic.
Yes, it was cryptographic, it was all great.
Who was it tasty to?
Yeah. Now, when location is your metaphor, cookies are good enough. Right? And cookies, make no doubt, were an important step up. I told you, Ross and I started IMAL in 1994. That was before cookies existed. You could not create a shopping cart unless you rewrote the URL, right? You had to rewrite the URL to create shopping carts. Cookies were a beautiful extension. They actually allowed you to create intra-site context. But what a cookie can never do is allow you to create cross-site context. To do that, you need to bridge the silos at the client. To that end, cookies reinforce silos, right? Because what everybody has done is create their own login system on their own silo. You have to create a new account at every place. They have all of your customer data for their place, and it's very hard to say these people on these two sites are related. Now, we actually don't want them to, right, from a privacy perspective. But what if you wanted to? What if you wanted, as Doc mentioned, to take your travel data from one website that you entered it all into and take it to another travel website because they had a better deal? Can't do it. Now, Kim Cameron is going to be here to speak tomorrow. Invented a thing called information cards, which are one of the important components in this purpose-based web that we're trying to build. As you'll see, if you've been using the Wi-Fi and seeing a little search tab, they're not the only way you can build purpose for people. But we believe that information cards have the biggest potential for solving a lot of the privacy and security problems. I should also point out that Drummond Reed, sitting right here in the second row, is the executive director of the Information Card Foundation. So if you have information card questions, you can ask him. And also Paul Trevithick. Is Paul here? Over there. And Paul is, he's the executive director, president.
He does the work, I take the credit.
And Paul is the president of the Information Card Foundation and one of the masterminds behind making this all generic. Kim Cameron's going to be here tomorrow to talk about information cards. They are a Microsoft invention, but the Information Card Foundation now has made them a fungible technology for everyone. Okay. This is an information card selector. You actually saw me playing with it when I was doing the demo. And there is a copy of this on the thumb drive that each of you got loaded with some cards. So if you want to play with it, it's there. Now, the point is, the summary point is that strong identity enables purpose-based browsing. So to build our table, just one more column. If your metaphor is location, cookies work. If your metaphor is something bigger than location, purpose, then you have to have something else. And we believe that selectors are that something else. Switch gears just a little bit, just again. This is the traditional customer communication model. It's this pyramid where the organization decides what to say. And they broadcast that out to everyone. Right? And so the organization is up there at the point, and the consumers, right, are meant to consume things, right? I'll tell you a funny story about consumers, the word consumers. As Kristen mentioned, I was the CIO for the state of Utah when Utopia was just getting started. If you have Utopia, you are a very, very happy camper probably because lots of bandwidth, right? Well, of course, Comcast and Quest did not really like Utopia. And Utopia was a municipal broadband package project, so they had to actually go to different city councils